backpacks for briefcases and have started to shape the world and our place in it. In an age of communities and networks powered by individuals more than states, they've become Planet Canada. These are the Canadians who aren't just visiting. They're living, working, studying, and connecting abroad, increasingly as a diaspora. Some are well known, like Mark Carney, formerly of the Bank of England and now leading the fight against climate change, or Lorne Michaels of Saturday Night Live, or Rachel McAdams of Hollywood fame. But most of Canada's 2 million or so expatriates are known only in their own circles. They're Canadians, usually by birth, always by passport, and often by association, but they're forgotten to Canada in terms of spirit and impact. When I first went overseas in the 1980s, Canada was the model of abundance in a world shaped by scarcity. Like Australia and a few others, we were the land of plenty, with educated people and prolific resources, along with the peace and prosperity that were so lacking elsewhere. We were one of the only middle powers with connections to East and West, North and South. When the world opened its doors, we entered. But today, with abundance everywhere, the Internet has given everyone access to everything. And there are a lot of everyones. The global population is adding a new Canada every 6 months, and on average, each generation is better nourished, educated, and connected than when Manion and our generation went abroad. That means that in the 2020s, there will be more countries brokering peace, building sustainable businesses, pursuing justice and human rights, in short, doing what Canada once considered its special role, which means Canada and Canadians will need to imagine ourselves in the spirit of an Israel or Singapore, thinking less like a middle power and more like an entrepreneurial people, harnessing our global population to build our place in a more crowded and connected world. Sadly, we may be the only major country, or minor one for that matter, that doesn't think strategically about its diaspora. We should start by recognizing that we have one and reaching out to them, which is what our closest allies and rivals are doing with theirs. From Ireland to India, nations with global populations are increasingly turning to their diasporas for help, recognizing the decades ahead will be influenced by people networks more than power centers. In a world of smart machines, stateless corporations, and economic forces beyond the control of any government, those nations seem to realize such networks will be to the 21st century what naval fleets were to the 19th and multinational corporations to the century in between. I first began to appreciate our global population in the 1990s when I became part of it as an overseas correspondent for the Globe and Mail based in New Delhi. Over nearly 8 years living and working abroad, pretty much everywhere I went there were Canadians forging interesting and important paths. Some were civic builders, designing a university course in Nairobi or engineering a pipeline across Central Asia. Some were lone wolves, running trading operations in Jaffna or Kinshasa. Some were up to no good, like the Briex geologists in Indonesia or the Cotter family whom I traced across northern Pakistan before 9/11. I knew most Canadians had always been seen and welcomed as good global citizens. But in that brief window between the Cold War and the War on Terror, as every corner of the world opened up, some peacefully, some through violence, it was evident that many Canadians, Louise Arbour, Stephen Lewis, Sergio Marchionne, were doing more than just going along. They were stepping to the forefront, to lead in ways that perhaps our country no longer could. At the dawn of this new global age, the Internet remade global commerce, while cheap, easy air travel put more strangers in more strange places than humanity had ever experienced. Cheap, easy telecommunications kept them more connected too, in ways we'd never imagined. As borders softened and cultures melded, a new great migration took form. Immigrants headed west, and refugees headed north. At the same time, a new global class of migrants moved east and south, with a small clutch of Canadians in the vanguard. The academic and former diplomat Jennifer Welsh was among them, keeping one foot in Florence and the other in Oxford as she tracked the political upheaval caused by these movements and the progress they could unleash. Entering the new millennium and a new digital age, Canadians, Welsh felt, needed to reimagine ourselves, to conceive of our country not just as Canada with a capital C,